And welcome back to PKF Hospitality in Conversation with. And today I'm zooming to Berlin and I'm zooming to the home of Anne Seubert, who is the founder, CEO, managing director, the chief whatever of Brands and Places. Anne, hello.
Hi, Nils.
How are
Happy to
you?
be here with you. I'm great. Sun is finally shining. I know that's normal in where you live, but here in Berlin we had gray days. Too many of them, actually.
You deserve the sunshine. You absolutely deserve the sunshine, Anne. Anne, well, we met last year in Vienna at the PKF or the 196 Plus Vienna Forum, and had the pleasure to work together on a little insert on the stage there, and kind of hit it off, I think. And I looked through your webpage and I see there's entrepreneur, brand muse, trend curator, mentor, and keynote speaker. We don't have much time for the keynote. I need to start my stopwatch, but a little bit of an insight into what Brands and Places does. If you can just give us a bit of an insight, and then we go straight into the discussion.
Sure thing. Actually, we do practice this art of hospitality, as I'd like to call it, from the fascination of what emerges actually when people meet. We develop spaces and communities, network and ecosystems and formats for platforms for people actually to meet, to form allies, to learn from each other across boundaries and to have an impact together.
So you mentioned hospitality, but you don't consult only to hospitality places or companies. You go right across the board, don't you?
Yes, that might be of interest for some of you, because we also do some projects in healthcare where there are just some projects that actually have the two of them together, hospitality and healthcare, which I like a lot. And we do a lot of destinations as well, mostly urban ones. Yeah.
Now, again on the website, I see the flow instead of blockage, I made a couple of notes, depths together. So there are a few things. Explain to us how you work with people. How do you create those communities? I think you talk a lot about communities. How do you make that happen?
Actually, I think what is important for that is that it's a process, actually, and then it's kind of a mindset. I know this mindset word comes along often, but here I think it's important, and because it's not something you can press a button and jump into a community or build a community, but that is something that has to build upon. And we do that around topics such as sustainability, such as digitization, of course, which there are lots of stakeholders interested in learning from each other. And then we do create, as I've been telling you, those kind of spaces where they can come together, where they find the space to actually talk deeply about such topics and then act from there on together.
Mm-hmm.
We do that around topics as wine as well, or topics as well-being, right? So
wine and well-being is the same for me. I live in the wine region. But why is community important? Because, we just get on with our jobs, we do things, so why do I have to have community? I mean, what is that, in particular in the job? I mean, at home and in my private life, yes, but at work, why is it important?
Actually, thanks for bringing this up, because it sounds fun, but it's also quite serious right now, and it's from my perspective, and really a leadership skill you better know about. Because the capacity to build and reach a diversity, to have those networks actually for you, those communities where you can learn and innovate your own business, you need to build relationships in all directions. You need a diverse network of stakeholders. Actually, you need partners. You can reach out when it comes to uncertainty, when it comes to a crisis. We do have experienced quite one of them, and it's important to, as a leader, to not only become adaptive oneself, but to actually inculcate those adaptability across your organizational culture, and ask for partners and allies to learn from and to stay up to date, and then to move on from there.
So for me as an individual, what does that mean? Do I carry the community? Does the community carry me? Do I lead the community? How does that, how would you see that?
You're talking ownership now, and I think what I really like about the community is something, you're part of a community because it feels better for you to be part of this community. It serves your interests, your agenda, your goals, and once it doesn't, you leave, right? It's not like being part of a team where you have a contract, you sign something, you're in a special responsibility, but it's really your intrinsic motivation to be part of this community. And I think that is important to know. And then the community cares for you. You know, you can trust the people in your community. And for me, that's the best kind of test for your community, to really ask how much do you believe that someone in your community is ready to help you right away, no matter if you know them in person or not. And you can probably tell them from your PKF community, and everyone else, if you think about communities you're part of, that is really one of the criteria to be part of this community.
So let me get that right. So who engages you? I mean, let's say I've got, because you say you speak about sustainability, for example, and wellness,
yeah,
and whatever. Is it a company? Is it a group of people? Is it and how would I become part of that community? I'm not quite there yet. I'm sorry. I need to be difficult.
You really want to? Yeah, I think there are different ways, and it's not one fits all. I'd say every one of my communities is one of their own, actually. But yes, a company comes because it has the need to innovate, for example. So it needs, need another relationship with their clients, actually, with their guests, with their customers. So we think about ways to create spaces where they can engage and learn from each other, where they can create projects together. I think creating something together has a bonding factor, and especially could also be that they say, we need, due to Corona, our company is left out of their offices. So we need to really get closer together within our company. Actually, we need a community within our group. So how can we create this feeling of this feeling of being one? Could also be, and this might be the third one, we tend to tackle sustainability with our company, but we're not well aware of how that could happen. We're kind of overwhelmed by all the possible to-dos. We don't know where are the priorities. We need maybe partners. We need to be part of a broader network, actually, both for our culture, but also maybe for our portfolio.
So you take then, let's say PKF Hospitality engage you. You take us through that whole process, and do you dip back in again, or do you then afterwards, once you feel the community has been created, you then leave and move on to the next one? How does it work?
And say, check.
Check, yeah.
One more. No, not at all. I'm not counting, actually. I can't even tell you how many there are. I like to consider myself, Carter, as what did you say, as a buddy or as a partner in crime, being on your side, providing you with the right strategy, with the right concepts and formats, and also, of course, with the right partners. Might be agencies, might be partners to connect with and help you really implementing. And then it's, of course, it's a question of, as I said earlier, it's not something we decide upon and then we do within, let's say, 3 months, 1 year. It's really a kind of a process. So it's a decision for the future. And that needs some resources to be ready to be invested in here.
Now, to stay with our example, we've got 20 odd offices around the world. We have got once, twice, maybe maximum twice a year, an event where we get together physically where possible. You know, the team is growing, so it's also a massive cost, so not everybody can make it every year. How do you, and I want to sort of get the swing into the online world, because, you know, due to restrictions, whatever, we started to use this medium a lot more often than we have in the past. And you mentioned to me that, you know, very much in an online world or the virtual world, you also create these communities. We only got a few minutes left, but how do you create that online? How do you get that community feeling? That when I talk to on a Monday afternoon, we've got a call with 60 odd people or whatever. How do you create that community that I actually feel not like, oh God, I'm on a call with 60 people, but hey, it's a community.
You're digging into the secret sauce now within
Absolutely.
those 10 minutes. Smart you. I mean, we all know that throwing people into one room, whether it's a virtual one actually or a real one, it doesn't bond us and doesn't make us feel connected, right? And people feel connected when they feel seen, when they feel heard and valued, when they share experiences, when they share stories they can tell about. We all know that from traveling, the traveling buddies, and we know when we are part of a football league. So it's, I think, really important to not shy away from the digital sphere and the virtual sphere. There are other things possible. We can create actually the spaces, whereas in the physical world we have to make use of the ones that are there, brick and mortar. So we can get a bit more creative actually in there, but of course we have to make sure to be present, to create ownership, to really create together and not have some data, some algorithms, some abstract spheres to be created for us, and really have it immersive, have experiences that touch you, have ownership created in our community. And as you said, really make it fun to be part of it.
Yeah, because I think that's certainly something which is needed, and I'm sure there are millions of people who have an issue with that and who you know, go through the motions because they have to dial in somewhere and are not really as engaged as they should be, and for their own sake as they should be, because you know, it's much more fun and much more worthwhile when you are emotionally engaged, when you actually say, you know, this is worth my while. Now, looking into the future, you know, there are a lot of people who are negative currently because of this war, debt crisis, rising costs, and you know, chat bots and whatever things are coming up which are threatening jobs. You know, where is this community building going? I mean, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel? Are we building more communities? Is the feedback that you're getting from the market such that people say, yes, we want to? Or is it kind of, you know what, we just go with the flow and everything will be all right?
That would be horrible, wouldn't it be?
It would be. It would be, you're right.
we are called human beings, but I think we are also social beings. We thrive when we are in connection, when we are part of something bigger than ourselves, when we feel connected with other people. And actually, we know from our, even LinkedIn is flooded with mental health topics, because getting lonelier with this being stuck at home and at home office, and actually losing connections, because all the big communities, maybe churches, maybe work-related connections, are losing members. Also, as I said, I work in healthcare. The supporting communities are also having a hard time with their members. Creating actually the support that is needed. And what I experience with my communities is exactly this, the peer support, the feeling of not being the only one, of not being the one stone within a huge ocean and not knowing where to see land, is a service actually we can build, and we can really power up the good mood, the optimism that is so much needed in the world right now. And that comes with the content we create, with the products, but also just by bringing people together. It sounds as easy as that, but connection is a healing power, and so is community. Just to give maybe a sad or a serious example, but grief, for example, we have now many people losing family members, losing friends due to Corona it was, but now we have and they're crying, the people, and it is so supporting, sharing the grief with your community. We know about those old rituals where the whole village would come together to grieve together. I mean, it's not only for people dying, people having to deal with grief or loss of people. It is also for joyous moments, right?
Yes,
we want to celebrate New Year's Eve, for example, together, and this is super important. And it's also strengthening community. So
Anne, I would love to chat to you for a lot longer. We're already gone way over time, but it's been absolutely wonderful. Great insight. I think there are lot more things to sort of dig deep into. Let's stay in touch. Let's create this community of two, and maybe a few more from within our closer circle, and let's see that we stay in touch and see that we convince other people that building communities is the right thing to do, to celebrate, and where needed to be together in not so great times as well. But thank you so much for your time.
To create actually to create the world we want to have, right? We can't do this on our own.
We can't do it on our own. Correct.
Yeah. The future is teamwork, is what I'm always keep saying. And happy to have you on board. Thanks for having me, Nils.
Thank you, and we'll speak soon. Anne Seubert, Brands and Places. Bye. Thank you.